Why alternative investments are going mainstream in 2025. What if I told you that in 2025, the greatest fortunes won't be built in stocks or bonds, but in assets most people have never touched? What if the biggest opportunity of your lifetime is happening right now quietly, while most investors are asleep? Stay with me, because once you understand this shift, you'll never look at money the same way again. For decades, the playbook was simple. Save money, buy stocks, hold bonds, and hope for slow, steady growth. But that old strategy is falling apart. Inflation is eroding wealth. Markets are swinging wildly. Bonds no longer protect the way they once did. And in this chaos, something new is rising. Alternative investments, once locked away in elite boardrooms, are finally going mainstream. 2025 isn't just another year. It's the turning point. The old game is broken. The traditional financial system promised security. Stocks were for growth, bonds for safety, cash for liquidity. But does that promise hold anymore? Look at the reality. Stock markets now rise and crash on headlines and tweets. Inflation eats into every dollar saved. Bonds, once the bedrock of conservative portfolios, are barely keeping pace with inflation, if at all. Investors are waking up to an uncomfortable truth. The old game doesn't work anymore. You cannot rely on yesterday's strategies to survive tomorrow's world. The rules have changed. And that's why alternatives are no longer a luxury. They are a necessity. What are alternative investments? Before we dive deeper, let's define what we're talking about. Alternatives are simply assets outside of stocks, bonds, and cash. But within that simple definition lies a vast and powerful universe. They can be private equity, owning pieces of companies before they go public. They can be hedge funds designed to profit in any market condition. They can be real estate, properties that generate steady rental income and appreciate over time. They can be commodities like gold and oil, serving as hedges against uncertainty. They can even be collectibles, from fine art and rare wines to luxury watches and sneakers. And of course, in today's digital age, they include cryptocurrencies, decentralized finance projects, and blockchain-based tokens. The key difference is this: alternatives used to be off-limits. They were reserved for the wealthy, the connected, the insiders. But 2025 has opened the gates. Why 2025 changes everything? Why now? Why is 2025 the moment when alternatives step out of the shadows and into the spotlight? The answer lies in three forces colliding at the same time. First, economic pressure. Rising inflation and global currency instability are forcing investors to look for safety and growth outside the traditional system. Second, technology has democratized access. Through fintech platforms, tokenization, and fractional ownership, investors no longer need millions to participate. A few $100s can buy a share of real estate, a piece of fine art, or a fraction of a startup. Third, psychology has shifted. A new generation of investors is demanding control, transparency, and smarter ways to grow wealth. They don't want slow money, they want smart money. Add to that one more factor: institutional validation. Hedge funds, pension funds, and billion-dollar asset managers are pouring money into alternatives. They're not guessing, they're positioning. And when institutions move, the mainstream follows. The power of tokenization and fractional ownership. Imagine being able to own part of a New York skyscraper, a Dubai luxury resort, or even a Picasso painting without needing to be a billionaire. That's not fantasy anymore. It's happening through blockchain-based tokenization. Tokenization slices assets into digital shares, allowing investors to buy fractions instead of wholes. In 2025, this concept has gone from experimental to mainstream. You no longer need to ask permission from Wall Street. You no longer need millions. With tokenization, the world's wealth is being divided and distributed like never before. This is the real revolution. The gates have been opened, and for the first time, everyone is invited in. Performance that can't be ignored. Numbers don't lie. Look back at the past 20 years and you'll see alternatives often outperform the traditional markets. Fine art has grown in value faster than major stock indexes. Private equity has beaten the returns of the S&P 500 time and again. Real estate has proven its resilience, generating both appreciation and steady income even during crisis. And cryptocurrencies, though volatile, delivered historic gains unmatched by any stock or bond. Here's the truth. If you ignored alternatives in the last decade, you likely missed out on extraordinary wealth. And if you ignore them in 2025, you may miss the single biggest wealth shift of your lifetime. The risks you can't overlook. But let's be clear, alternatives are not magic. They come with risks. Some are less liquid. You can't always sell them instantly. Some come with higher fees. Others carry volatility that tests patience and discipline. Yet here's the paradox. In today's world, the biggest risk is taking no risk at all. Doing nothing, holding cash while inflation eats it, trusting an outdated model while markets crumble. That is far more dangerous than exploring alternatives. The winners of this new era will not be those who avoided risk entirely. They will be the ones who learn to manage it wisely. The new investor mindset of 2025. This isn't just a change in strategy. It's a change in mindset. Yesterday's investor played defense, hoping the market would rise over time. Today's investor plays offense. Yesterday's investor waited for opportunities. Today's investor creates them. The mainstream investor of 2025 is no longer satisfied with average. They want access. They want control. They want growth. And alternatives give them exactly that. This is more than a financial shift. It's cultural. The very way people think about money is evolving. From elite to everyday, a level playing field. 10 years ago, alternatives were the playground of billionaires and institutions. The average person had no chance to participate, but today that barrier has collapsed. Platforms allow everyday people to buy into assets that once seemed untouchable. A student can own a piece of real estate overseas. A professional can invest in startups. A retiree can diversify into art or gold without leaving their home. For the first time in history, everyday investor is standing shoulder to shoulder with the elite. And here's the real twist. This democratization is only the beginning. Technology is removing gatekeepers at lightning speed. The gap between Wall Street and Main Street is closing faster than anyone imagined. Soon, the very definition of wealthy investor will be rewritten, and those who adapt early will write the next chapter of financial history. Where the smart money is going. If you want to know the future, follow the money. And the smart money is flowing heavily into alternatives. Asset managers like BlackRock are diving into digital assets. Family offices managing billionaire fortunes are buying fine art and luxury collectibles. Pension funds are pushing deeper into real estate and private equity. If the most powerful investors in the world are making this move, do you really believe they're wrong? Or is it possible they know something the average investor hasn't realized yet? The wealth shift of a lifetime. The conclusion is unavoidable. Alternatives are not just a side option in 2025. They are the main story. They are the engine of the next wave of wealth creation. Traditional investments will still matter, but they will no longer dominate. The balance is shifting, and it is shifting fast. So the question is simple. Will you watch from the sidelines, or will you step into the arena? Will you cling to the comfort of the old system, or will you embrace the opportunities of the new? In 2025, playing it safe is the riskiest move you can make. The world of wealth is being rewritten right now. The gates to alternatives are open. The opportunities are expanding. And the future will belong to those who act. Start small if you must. Explore platforms. Educate yourself. But above all, do not ignore this shift. Because the investors who seize it will not just grow their portfolios. They will build legacies. If this opens your eyes to the future of investing, don't let the knowledge stop here. Hit that like button, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe and hit the bell button to watch our upcoming video. Because in the next video we reveal could be the one that changes your financial future forever.